Churches are like hospitals, filled with all different levels of wellness and sickness. Hey everybody, this is Gary Essig with Protection Specialists International out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I want to thank you for tuning in today. This is, or at least should be, a very real concern for anybody called and charged with protecting their church, their pastors, their congregation, their guests, and their children. There are a myriad of circumstances that can bring somebody to a point of a meltdown, even a violent meltdown within our church. Situations that might come to mind would be domestic violence, divorces, custody battles, psychological deficiencies, chemical dependencies, financial meltdowns. Is it so far-fetched to think that we might not be dealing with somebody within our church, within our own church family, somebody we may have known for years, if not decades? Granted, we have to be training and prepared to deal with things from the outside too. Crime, terrorism, protesters, all of those other things that could come to the door. But we don't have the luxury of dismissing what's happening within our own church body. People are people. All of us are susceptible to things. The question is, what do we do about it? How do we focus on all of these things? The key is that we have to start seeing abnormal behavior. We have to start seeing abnormal activities. Our goal is to know what's normal so that we can quickly see what's abnormal and quickly respond to those things, even if it's just with a handshake, to go and start talking to somebody, to start getting ahead of a situation. We might, as professionals, be able to de-escalate things and move them to a place where they can receive and start working their way out of whatever situation it is they're going through. Now, we're church security, so we do have a security piece that we have to keep in place. Let me tell you about a situation that happened to a church down in the southeastern part of the United States a few years ago. Somebody that I know. In this church, there was somebody who was on their facility maintenance staff for multiple years. He was let go from his job. The reasons, nothing major, nothing heinous. He was let go from his job, and he had known people in the church for years. Nobody ever thought this man could be violent. Well, a couple weeks later, here he comes to a Wednesday prayer service. He's in that prayer service for a couple hours with people he's known, people he's been close to, maybe been on the streets with, maybe worked with side by side. At the end of this prayer meeting, he stands up and he unloads 13 rounds. 13 rounds into that prayer leader. Calmly turns around and walks out of the building. Now, he was subsequently caught and brought to justice, but the fact still remains, that prayer leader, he's dead. Dead. So the long and short of it is, it's not that church's fault. They have a great security team, and you can't catch everything. But it just highlights the fact that you don't know who it's going to be, what the next flashpoint will be, what's going to set the next person off. In Gavin DeBecker's book, Just 2 Seconds, he talks about the concept of being in the here and now. Being in the here and now goes something like this. Out of your entire group that's in your room, who would be most likely to be a concern? Who would be most likely to be a threat or a suspect? Now, you don't sit and focus on them to the point where you're making them uncomfortable, but what you do is you start to watch things that they're doing. You start to subtly be able to assess things. Being in the here and now means that you doing that keeps you from thinking about that meeting that you got tomorrow or 2 weeks down the road or what happened yesterday, or am I going to be able to get to the buffet in time once this service is over? So you don't have to take the time to come back from there when you start to see something happen. Because if you have to come back, once you get back, now you have to actually figure out what's going on, what your options are, do we have a problem, and then you have to act. Those little slivers of time, those are the things that cost you from being ahead of the game, from being ahead of the curve, and putting yourself in a position to succeed. We start to then lose our edge. So again, staying in the here and now. If you want to read more about that, get the book, Just 2 Seconds by Gavin DeBecker. It's an incredible book. I recommend it for anybody who does security, private security, whether it's in the secular world, in the corporate world, in the VIP world, or in ministry. So again, please, if there's anything that we can do for you, get in touch with us. You don't have to use us. All we want you to do is start taking some of these concepts and putting them in play in your church. We have a job as protectors to protect, period. If you're called to do this, you need to start taking some steps. I'm not going to preach to you. All I'm going to tell you is this. If you have some questions, if there's any way that we can serve you, feel free to give us a call. Whether you use us as a business or not is irrelevant. All we want to do is get you moving in the right direction. There's probably somebody in your area that can help you. Your police department, there's other churches that are probably doing this. So get in touch with us. Our contact information will be here. Again, at Protection Specialists International, our goal is one thing: to train people to win and win fully.